What's up, guys? It's Steven from Fratelli. I'm behind the wheel of my 2018 Camaro SS 1LE. Like everybody else, I'm a little bit jammed up in terms of content that I could do for the channel. Though it's a good time to one of those kind of stereotypical 5 things I hate, 5 things I love videos. But I do find those videos very useful because you have owners telling things that they like about the car and they don't. It's usually pretty subjective. Me personally, I'm not sponsored or even monetized at this point, so I'm telling you what I really think about the car that I really own in real life. While I'm at a stoplight, I'll talk about the most common dislike for this car, and that is the forward and side visibility. It is very limiting, which is a downside to the car. The trade-off is you get a really aggressive roof styling that looks cool with the exterior of the car, but yeah, you can't really see that well out of it. For most roads, it's totally fine, but as I mentioned in my ownership review, when you get up to a stoplight especially, you kind of have to go like this to see. It is annoying and definitely a downside to the car. While I'm at a stoplight behind a cop, it's a good time to talk about another feature that stinks on this car, and that is the block shifting of second gear, or it's like a skip shift, whatever you want to call it. And when driving at low casual speeds like you would when you're behind a cop, it forces you to skip from 1st to 4th gear, and it actually pops up behind the gear and blocks you physically from pulling the shifter into 2nd gear, which is, I think personally, a safety hazard. I've heard a few other people say the same thing. I totally agree. They do it for fuel economy, I think, to get around the gas guzzler tax and keep the price down for the car, but it definitely is annoying. I will say when you're driving the car hard, it's not an issue, but driving a manual or stick shift is most annoying in slow traffic, and that's when it engages, which makes it pretty annoying. So that's a skip shift. I will also say though, you do get used to it, and what I do is I just kind of let it wind out a little bit and just late shift, and the little lever or bar that pops up to get the gear or stop the gear does go away. So I got used to it and can work around it, but it is strange when you first start driving the car. A quick sub-bullet while we're on the topic of around the shifter, not really related to the shifter itself, but I feel that a manual car should have a manual emergency brake. I don't care about yanking it for drifting and stuff like that, but it's a little, scary if you're not double checking that the light went on and if the car could roll and things like that when you're parking it. Yet I totally understand that manual cars are going the way of the dodo bird, and companies aren't going to do separate tooling for a manual e-brake for the cars that have the stick shift. But just a minor gripe there too. More of an issue with modern cars in general than the Camaro specifically, so that one doesn't count towards the 5 things I hate about the car. Next, we're going to talk about the track settings. So one thing that's so fantastic about this car is that it's really truly track ready pretty much out of the box. But that being said, I really don't like the track setting for the steering. I feel that it's, I'm trying to explain, but kind of artificially stiff and doesn't really add any value or any precision when you're steering. I thought maybe that, just because I'm driving like right now, stoplight to stoplight, maybe you really need to wind the car out, but I've tracked the car a couple times and I still really don't like the track setting for the steering. I thought it was just me, but then when I dove into forums and stuff, a lot of people had the same complaint about that setting. The good news though is that you can decouple the settings. So if you put the car into track or sport or touring, you could go into the settings and set just the steering to sport, say, and then have the suspension still on track, which is really nice. So it's an easy workaround, but I just don't think the track setting is that good for this car, considering how well dialed in and out of the box ready this car is for the track. Similar but not as bad is the throttle for the track. That could just be a preference thing, but I also, when I track the car, I put the track suspension, track exhaust, and then sport steering and sport throttle. What I love about this car is everything that's centered around the driver is done really, really well, with one exception, and that is the top of the dashboard. It has these 2 kind of like humps over it that are kind of retro design inspired, which I appreciate, but what I don't appreciate is that it adds less visibility to a car that's already tough to see out of. And also there's this chrome strip around the outside of it which catches light and reflects in your eye. I mean, what were they thinking when they put that that there. I mean, the rest of the car is all matte finish and, you know, black and stuff, and then there's the one shiny thing right where your eyes need to be. I mean, I don't know what they were smoking when they put that in there on the dash. The one thing I'll say though about the height too is there is a head-up display in the car, which is really nice to have, especially driving on the track. And I guess you do need some elevation for that to project out. I don't know, I'm not an expert on head-up display heights and projection angles, but overall the dash thing is a complaint of mine, and one thing I really don't like about the car. Before I get into the fifth and final thing I hate about the car, I just want to say thank you guys for watching, and if you can hit the thumbs up like button on YouTube, that would help out a lot. Also, a really new channel. We're not monetized yet, so we need more subscribers to help pay for gas. This thing is not good on gas. That's not the fifth thing I hate about it. That's something I knew going into it. It's on the sticker of the car. You should know what the gas mileage is when you get into the car. You know, if you please subscribe, that would truly make my day. Thanks so much, guys. The fifth and final demerit of the Camaro SS 1LE 6th Gen, and it is something that I knew well in advance going to the car, because it's something you really can't miss and you really can't hide, and that is just the overall size and heft of the car. So there is a trade-off to that, because you have these rear seats, which a really tall person can't sit in, obviously, but really good for storage. The trunk is awkward, but you can fit a lot of stuff in there. But overall, it is a bit of a big car and heavy for something that's supposed to be really track focused. That being said, it was a big trade-off in the price of this car versus lighter and more track focused cars that I was looking at. For example, even within the Chevrolet family, the Camaro Grand Sport, Corvette Grand Sport had like a $20,000 premium over this car. I looked at Porsche Cayman S, even used with some decent miles on it, was still a hefty premium over this brand new. So knew it going into it. You know, made that trade-off largely based on price. Going to be transparent about that. Glad I did, because I'm not working right now, and I would be really upset if I had a really big expensive car payment going on right now. This thing a lot more affordable. But yeah, if to kind of sum it up a little bit about the size and the weight, you know, when you get in a car like the Porsche Cayman, it feels like a car that is a race car that has not even enough powerful engine in it. It's just like a really focused track car that you could add more and more to it and make it better and better. This feels like it started off as like a Hertz rental car, sports car rental, and they just bolted on things to it and tuned it until it got really great performance. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you could just really tell the difference, you know, when comparing to a car that's really like a mid-engine focused track sports car versus something like this that really had gotten more bolt-on and fine-tuning to it kind of after the fact. But that being said, for the price, the performance is absolutely fantastic in the car, and I do recommend it still. And hopefully the 5 things that I dislike about it aren't too discouraging for you to purchase the car, but again, wanted to be subjective and share my honest opinion about the vehicle. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. See you soon. Oh, also check out 5 things I love about the car. I'm going to release those videos simultaneously, filming them both today, and check that one out too on a more positive note. Take care, guys. See you soon.